All right, let's be real. I mean, the real. If your gut and your body is feeling off, everything feels off. I'm talking about your digestion, energy, mood, your ability to focus, everything that helps you feel grounded and confident and powerful. It actually starts with your gut. Every day, your gut is fighting a silent war against processed foods, stress, and even toxins in the air. If you're a mom, you travel, you work out a lot, you're taking in more air, you're being exposed to more environments, and quite frankly, when your gut struggles with all of that, your whole body feels it, as if there wasn't already enough on your plate. Being able to take care of your own body, embracing wellness and loving on yourself, that's not supposed to be difficult. That's why I trust Just Thrive. It's a probiotic. For over a decade, Just Thrive has been helping thousands of people take control of their health with science-backed solutions that you can trust. Credibility matters. From their award-winning probiotic to their full line of gut, immune, and brain health supplements. I'm going to say that again, brain health supplements. Just Thrive is ready to help you live your healthiest life. Try Just Thrive probiotic for 90 days. Risk-free. Save 20% on your first order with code CX. See the difference for yourself. Or get a full product refund. No questions asked. Take the 90-day Just Thrive probiotic challenge today. And, well, just thrive. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Who Does She Think She Is? Audacious financial journeys with tremendous Black women. I'm Mele Miller, 30-year bank exec that you wish has always been your friend. Who does she think she is? Hello and welcome to this episode of Who Does She Think She Is? I'm Mele Miller and I am delighted to continue our conversation about all of the incredible and career-altering things and lessons that I learned from discomfort. Now, if you have not yet watched the previous episode where I talk about the first 3 of my list of 6, I would encourage you to put this show on pause and go back and review the first 3 because, quite honestly, they get increasingly more uncomfortable. When people say, I saved the best for last, that's not quite what I've done here. This manages a progression of least uncomfortable, probably, to the most uncomfortable. I didn't intentionally design it that way, but I think that once we as leaders, we become increasingly more honest with ourselves and not just the folks that we're talking to. So if you've already watched the prior episode and you're ready to move forward, or maybe order doesn't matter, just honesty does, then you've certainly come to the right place because I'm ready. And I hope that you are too. So number 4 of the total 6 areas of discomfort that trigger such unhappiness and so much just, well, discomfort that you might even be thinking of quitting or making a dramatic change. I'm asking you to pause and unpack your circumstances just a little bit further. Number 4, in terms of discomfort in the workplace, is insecurity. My long pause is because this is something that's troubled me for many years. I can laugh about it now, but insecurity really isn't anything to laugh about. As a matter of fact, it's tempting to write insecurity off as a personal flaw. Well, I've never been comfortable with the way that I look, or I've never been comfortable speaking in front of a crowd, or I've never felt confident in doing fill in the blank. I'm going to call BS on that because to me, and from my experiences and everything that I've taught over the last 30 years, insecurity is not just a personal flaw. Insecurity has its basis in being unprepared or under-supported. It's a lack of tools. Now, a lack of tools or context or information in order for you to meet the moment is very important to your security, your job security, your ability to deliver in your role to expectations. So whether or not you're the leader of a group or a member of the team, or even someone new that's entering a squad, a company, a workforce. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. The reality is, insecurity can eat away at your ability to enjoy the work that you're doing, even if you're living your dream. So here's what I would propose. If you are insecure about the way that you're showing up, what you're explaining, or what you are delivering to, odds are that some of the information or the tools or the credibility that you need to succeed in your role isn't in place. Now, I'm going to give you the example of calling a meeting with a team or showing up for a meeting. If you arrive at that meeting and you feel blindsided by what is being talked about or the questions that are being asked or your ability to deliver and contribute in a valuable way, I would argue that the insecurity that you're feeling could be because you didn't do the homework. You didn't look at the agenda. Perhaps you didn't read context. Perhaps you didn't pay attention in that email meeting of who was going to be in the room, what someone might expect of you if you're even being invited into the meeting. What are the tools that you need to have prepared? What information would have been helpful? Is there a certain degree of respect and credibility that you wanted to be received with by folks in the room that perhaps have never met you before? What could you have done, or how could you have positioned your contribution at the beginning or prior to that meeting to be able to glean the respect and the credibility that you were hoping to access? Insecurity is not just a feeling. It is typically triggered by something. And if that something is a lack of preparation, then you have all of the tools that you need or can collect them, in theory, prior to that meeting to make sure that you can show up as your best. So, the next time you are feeling insecure, think about whether or not you have done what you needed to do to prepare for the way that you show up. If that requires someone else, do what you can to engage that person or those people in order to make sure that you feel a sense of security. Maybe not have all the answers, but do your best to be prepared to engage and add value to that space. For those that have to make a speech that they're nervous about, because that's one of the greatest fears in life and insecurities in life, research the room or who will be in the room before you even get there. I promise you, it makes it a lot easier to engage with an audience if you know who they are. Okay, I trust we're ready to move on. And the next big cause of workplace discomfort, that feeling that makes you want to run as quickly as possible to the closest door, hop in your car, back out of that very tight parking spot and never come back. Yeah, it's happened to me. It's frustration. There's loneliness. There's boredom. There's insecurity, and then there's frustration. I would offer that the real driver of frustration is poor communication, misaligned priorities, and dare I say, unclear expectations. Managing your expectations and others can be easier than you think, but it requires, I'm going to say the word, it requires communication. Your communication with someone else, maybe with several someone else's. Now, in life, there are many styles of communication. There are folks that are raised to be, as Esther Perel would say, independent leaders. And then there are those that thrive with a community, an interdependent and interreliant collaborative environment. It doesn't matter what type of human you are. Frustration with others has a lot to do with the way we are communicating. And to improve communication, it does ask for and call for your ability to listen, to process the information, and sometimes ask difficult questions. If you are frustrated because you did not expect a circumstance or a situation, perhaps you're frustrated because you didn't meet a target. Perhaps that target wasn't clearly communicated to you. Or perhaps it was, but it wasn't communicated in a format that you're comfortable receiving, or even in language that doesn't trigger the same understanding or clarity that it would for someone else. Before you allow that frustration to consume you, to push you to the door, or to tag on an extra hour on your lunch, or to flat out ignore people, take charge of your own frustration. You can't own others. But if most of the frustration in the workplace or with teams, with clients and business partners, comes from a misalignment in understanding or values or communication that isn't delivering, then it's time to slow down and perhaps ask a couple of questions. Number one, are you choosing the form of communication, or is your partner or colleagues, are they communicating with you in a format that just doesn't work well for you? Frustration is truly, at its core, driven by poor communication, unclear expectations, misaligned priorities. Are you fighting for a mission when the folks you're surrounded by are working towards their own individual success? Frustration is the true source of workplace tension, team tension. And when we think about how frustration can be overcome, it really does center on understanding. There is very rarely a lack of a driver of frustration. It's very rare that you're just frustrated because the target is real. And the encouragement that I would give you, or a best practice or two, I've been frustrated a few times, I admit it. I've been the cause of frustration more than a few times. And it's not based on a desire to frustrate someone else. It doesn't matter if you grew up in the same neighborhood. It doesn't matter if you all love the same things or dress in a similar way. Communication is individual and unique. So while you're speaking the same language, that doesn't necessarily mean that words and body language and nuances mean the same thing. Based on how you've grown accustomed to experience the world around you, perhaps household culture, your own unique and individual personality. One of my favorite experts on relationships is Esther Perel, and I could listen to her for hours because she talks about inherently as an individual, are we raised to find success and joy from independence and self-sufficiency? Or do we have this ingrained tendency to seek collaboration and community to find joy and success? Were we raised on that interdependence? Now, again, you could come from the same household, the same neighborhood, and still communicate in a different way. And because of that, it is extra important in any environment, especially environments like your workplace that are very important to you, to slow down and think about how you're communicating with others, how they're receiving it, the channels and the forms of communication that you prefer versus what your partners and colleagues prefer. Are they understanding and hearing and receiving the message that you're delivering in the way that you intend to deliver it, or that you intend for it to be experienced? That is rather complicated if you are not accustomed to paying attention. And it all has to start somewhere. So I'd encourage you to do so. Think about why you're frustrated and if those that are frustrating you or in the environment that is currently frustrating you. Are you checking that you have the right information, that you're interpreting it the way that it was intended? Some people I will often get frustrated if I don't even have the information I need to be successful. And for that, I would say, before you allow your frustration to grow because you didn't see the right information or the information that you believed you needed, I would encourage you first to check all sources and make sure that it has not already been sent to you and that you perhaps have overlooked it. Workplace tension and frustration typically gets worse before it ever gets better. Don't sleep on that. That type of discomfort can derail a long-term partnership and something that could grow into an incredible, beautiful, and highly lucrative relationship. I would leave you with this one thing about frustration. Frustration and clarity have all the same ingredients. I promise. Think of it like your kitchen cabinet. I like my kitchen cabinets to be organized in a certain way, just in case you hadn't guessed that. I want oil-based products on the top shelf. I want my most staple, high-used salt, pepper, the basics on shelf number 2. And on shelf number 3, I want the exciting spices, the things I might not reach for every time I cook, but when I know I want to create a certain type of taste experience. No, I'm not a chef, but I'm serious about a really good bite. And when I only have 30 minutes to prepare a meal for my family, I want to be able to reach and go to the spot I know will have what I need. Now, what if things weren't in order and they were scattered everywhere? Everything in my cabinet is still what I need to make this delicious meal, but I don't know where it is. I don't know how far back into the cabinet it is. I don't even know how much of it I have left. It makes it extremely difficult, not only for me to prepare that meal, because I know it's in there, or I know somebody knows where it is, but it also takes me even longer to meet my expectation. And I start to slow down and get so extremely frustrated that the meal is either not that good, doesn't get made, or perhaps I invest in another local business to prepare dinner for my family, which is not always cost effective. But you get where I'm going. The difference between the ingredients involved in chaos and frustration and the ingredients involved in clarity is simply organization. Are they in the right container? Is that container in a place that's familiar to you? My familiar framework of communication may not be familiar to anyone else. And so it is my job and the job of other professionals that I'm working with to do our best to understand what that communication preferred mechanism is so that we can avoid frustration and create a delicious meal that we can share. Yeah, I know that was corny, but I really like food from a big family. I'm just telling you how it is. The last really big frustrator or point of discomfort, that's what we're talking about. Frustration is one, but one of the biggest triggers of discomfort for me and most of the professionals that I have the privilege of working with is something that hits home. For all of us, perhaps some more than others. But I'm not here to compare. I'm here to talk about the stuff that we might not talk about enough. And that big driver, that really, really uncomfortable driver of pain at work, the one that gets you looking at the door, checking the clock, and sometimes even wishing that you had never accepted your role. That form of discomfort is called adversity. Now, we have spent some time on frustration, which can have dual drivers, multiple triggers and causes. We've talked about boredom and loneliness, insecurity, all of these different types of feelings and forms of unpleasantries that typically involve others, and maybe even have been triggered, enhanced, or managed by ourselves, something that we alone can change or improve. But adversity is something else. If you know, you know. Adversity is a loss of a major client, a policy that you've built your entire career on being voted out overnight. Loving your job because you get to work with or for a certain type of leader, and that leader leaves the organization. Someone important to your success doesn't like you and shows it a lot and in front of others. Perhaps the entire system that you've worked decades to master, you find out when you reach the pinnacle that it was never, ever, ever designed for you to achieve success. And no matter what you do, reaching the top just isn't going to happen. All of those are some examples of a really, really uncomfortable, shitty adversity. Things that aren't up to you, things that come at you. But adversity doesn't have to define you. What happens to you isn't who you are. It's something that you are experiencing. Now, I get it. It's one thing to say it, and it's another thing to live it. Well, I'm going to tell you, I have lived through the types of adversity that most people would never say out loud or in public. From homelessness to the type of abuse that makeup doesn't cover. Adversity is real. And you bet I would never bring up something like adversity, as uncomfortable, devastating, traumatic, without having some solutions and some recommendations. So what I need to know is if you're ready. Drink a little water. Okay, so let's talk about really overcoming adversity. Not that mess that people say to make you feel better, or from folks that have never actually experienced real adversity, the type that makes you want to quit more than a job. That's the type of adversity that I'm talking about. Because it adds up. And I don't choose that for you or anyone. But it is a part of life, and it is a part of growth in our career. All right, let's be real. I mean, the real real. If your gut and your body is feeling off, everything feels off. I'm talking about your digestion, energy, mood, your ability to focus, everything that helps you feel grounded and confident and powerful. It actually starts with your gut. Every day, your gut is fighting a silent war against processed foods, stress, and even toxins in the air. If you're a mom, you travel, you work out a lot, you're taking in more air, you're being exposed to more environments, and quite frankly, when your gut struggles with all of that, your whole body feels it, as if there wasn't already enough on your plate. Being able to take care of your own body, embracing wellness and loving on yourself, that's not supposed to be difficult. That's why I trust Just Thrive. It's a probiotic. For over a decade, Just Thrive has been helping thousands of people take control of their health with science-backed solutions that you can trust. Credibility matters. From their award-winning probiotic to their full line of gut, immune, and brain health supplements. I'm going to say that again, brain health supplements. Just Thrive is ready to help you live your healthiest life. Try Just Thrive Probiotic for 90 days, risk-free. Save 20% on your first order with code CX. See the difference for yourself or get a full product refund. No questions asked. Take the 90-day Just Thrive Probiotic Challenge today and, well, just thrive. I shared a couple of examples of what adversity can look like in a career or feel like. Now, those examples were relevant to me, and they might not trigger you. That's okay. We all experience adversity. It doesn't feel good. It might not be something that we can control. And you know what's really interesting? I've never called it out, really, as something that there can be best practices or a solution for. But my entire career and the way that I've taken hold of it is based on adversity. All of the other forms of discomfort are tools and skills and real life expertise that I've built up over the years, in addition to formalized education and training and development. Sometimes there are just things that you learn from the school of hard knocks. Now, would I encourage you to take all your financial advice from someone who's learned it from the school of hard knocks? I would not. This is context for professionals and leaders in the financial space and in all types of professional spaces. Adversity outside of your control is some of the worst kind. It can feel downright illegal. Sometimes it is. Side note, sometimes it is. And you should probably look into that. It can feel illogical. And sometimes it is also illogical. But for someone who's experienced a lot of adversity, more than my fair share, whatever that actually means, one thing that I do know to be true is that overcoming the adversity is where my greatest strengths have been developed. And when I learned more about myself and was able to teach the world about myself, far greater and with much more significance than some of those other lessons. There's no playbook, no set strategies to help everyone grow through these moments. So I have some suggestions. And these are suggestions that are more than just helpful. They truly are built in to the strategic plans that I craft for nonprofits and financial institutions that have always been here or have been here for so many years we can't even imagine the before that organization time, and for sexy fintechs and other organizations who are trying to build something new and fresh. I teach them all the same thing. when it comes to adversity, something that presents a risk outside of their control. Just two things. Two things. For some reason, I always do it this way, but this way looks good too. Anyway, strategy number one. I learned this from my son, actually. He's an athlete and he's very focused. And I would often ask him to walk me through the plays that he's learning and how he plans to win the game or whatever sport he's participating in, trying to protect his identity because I have three. So if you can figure it out, good for you. And he said something to me that was just so brilliant and so clear. And it caught me. It caught me because he learned that from somewhere. I don't know if it was me or somebody else, but he said, Mom, I play against incredible athletes. I don't go to their practices. I don't know who they are. I haven't been following them for their entire career. They're strangers to me. I can't prepare for something. No play can protect me against someone else on the field that is doing something that I've never seen or that I don't know is coming. So I train to stay ready. And listen, I really wanted to argue with him, and maybe I pushed back a little bit, but he's right. We can plan for so many different things, and then there are things we can't plan for. So what are the two strategies? I can say it clearly and easily. The first one is a risk management policy or risk anticipation plan, and that is risk mitigation. What do I mean by that? Have a plan B, C, D, and E. Think of what is the worst that could happen to certain elements of your business or your job or your career. It is literally a profession to cover and guide and lead an enterprise risk management team where you understand and research all of the ways that something could go wrong that is outside of your control. Risk mitigation is an incredibly valuable process and exercise. Some will tell you, oh, don't invite bad things to happen. Don't think of the worst. But when that worst things happens and you didn't think of it, it is truly the definition of the worst thing that can happen if you're not ready. But if you at least consider these what ifs, there are things that you can do in frameworks and plans and alternate strategies that you can put in place. So I believe in risk mitigation. And what my son was presenting to me was the opposite, but an equally critical partner to risk mitigation. And that is, he said, Mom, stay ready. Stay ready for the things that you don't know are coming. As an athlete, I'm going to learn all the plays. I'm going to go to every practice. But what can I do for those moments, for the type of adversity that has no warning? He said, I stay ready. I train for agility. I train my mind to be flexible and open. I practice the exercise of learning new things as often as possible. I get comfortable being uncomfortable because the world doesn't owe me a perfect path to success. It was a proud moment. I may have cried a little bit in the front seat of my car because the whole reason why I'm doing this is so that nobody else has to, especially my kids. There's a lot of things that motivate us in life. I want to be able to feed, house, and provide for my family. I want to be able to change the landscape of wealth identity in the United States and money culture. And you know what else? I don't want to deal with adversity. I don't want to. And I don't know anybody out there that does. But it is a part of life. It is a part of business. And being prepared for it and understanding what form of it feels illogical, unreasonable, or illegal, and what you're going to do about it, that right there presents an opportunity for you to take back some of the power that you lose when you're freaking out because you're not ready for it. So I'm going to leave you with that on the adversity front and say just this. Discomfort isn't always a problem that you need to fix. Sometimes it's an invitation to engage, to learn, to lean in a little bit more, to ask clarifying questions that maybe you weren't going to ask, to prepare a little better, to think differently, and quite honestly, perhaps look at yourself in a new way. I like who I've become through adversity. And I don't know who I would be without it. So there you have it. 6 forms of discomfort professionally that could have broken me and so many of you, and have instead helped me unlock my deepest core values, my superpowers, and allowed me to flex on them. Listen, do your best, come out on the other side and share it with me. I might have something to say about it. All right, let's be real. I mean, the real real. If your gut and your body is feeling off, everything feels off. I'm talking about your digestion, energy, mood, your ability to focus, everything that helps you feel grounded and confident and powerful. It actually starts with your gut. Every day, your gut is fighting a silent war against processed foods, stress, and even toxins in the air. If you're a mom, you travel, you work out a lot, you're taking in more air, you're being exposed to more environments, and quite frankly, when your gut struggles with all of that, your whole body feels it, as if there wasn't already enough on your plate. Being able to take care of your own body, embracing wellness and loving on yourself, that's not supposed to be difficult. That's why I trust Just Thrive. It's a probiotic. For over a decade, Just Thrive has been helping thousands of people take control of their health with science-backed solutions that you can trust. Credibility matters. From their award-winning probiotic to their full line of gut, immune, and brain health supplements. I'm going to say that again, brain health supplements. Just Thrive is ready to help you live your healthiest life. Try Just Thrive Probiotic for 90 days. Risk-free. Save 20% on your first order with code CX. See the difference for yourself. Or get a full product refund. No questions asked. Take the 90-day Just Thrive Probiotic Challenge today. And, well, just thrive.